Hi, my name is Michelle Sanders. I'm making this video regarding my testimony and how I came to have a relationship with God. My channel is devoted to fellow rhesus negatives and sharing research, things that I've studied throughout the years with fellow rhesus negatives and experiences that they've had throughout their life, whether they be paranormal, spiritual, etc. But back in 1999, I was 20 years old. I'm O negative. I was born April 9th. Anyway, it was 1999, and it was the winter solstice. And we lived in my sister and I lived in a party house. She's 6 years older than me. And at this particular night, there was like 10, 15 people over at our house partying. It was like a normal thing. Most of the people we weren't even actually really close to. They just pretty much used us for a place to hang out, But it's like 1 in the morning, and we get a knock on the door from one of our neighbors. He's like, "Michelle, Christian, come outside, you got to see this." And we're like, okay. So we go out in the yard, and first thing we notice is, like, it was really bright outside for being so late. And we look up, and it's a full moon. And not only is it a full moon, there was like this ginormous, like, ring around the moon, like it was like a rainbow. And you could feel that there was something different about this moon, and you could feel the effects of it. Now, this was the time when, like, Y2K was the big thing. Everybody was afraid of Y2K, Well, anyway, the other people that were there start making fun of us because we're, "Oh, you're paying attention to the moon, you're crazy, you're weird, And at the time, I was really big I started studying astrology when I was about 16 years old, and the metaphysics, and everything. So I knew the importance of the moon and how it affects people. Well, next thing we know, 2 other people we know show up at our house. One was leaving work. He was walking home, and he felt like he had to come to our house. The other one lived like 3 or 4 blocks away. A guy I was in kindergarten with and grew up with. And they all just felt that they had to come to our house and show us this moon. And what was interesting, it was like we all felt a change. Something inside of us changed. And we instantly knew we were different than the people that were surrounding us, that weren't paying attention to. We knew that this meant something for all of us. So there was a total of, me, my sister, this guy named Brian, the guy that knocked on the door originally, Mitch, and Jesse. So the total of 5 of us. Within, I'd say, a month later, my sister was an engineer. She was working for Tommy Hilfiger in Edmond, Oklahoma. She would design the stores, the withdrawal of stores and everything, and she was on her lunch break, and she would go out to her car and lay back and take like a mini nap and listen to the radio. She wouldn't completely fall asleep, she'd just rest. And she was listening to this radio station called The Cat. It's like a rock station here. And next thing she knows, the radio station changes. And it's on a commercial. It's on like the Christian station. So she like sits up and changes it back. Like, that's pretty weird, Lays back, and it changes again. So she's like, I might want to pay attention to, this commercial. So she writes the information down, didn't know anything about this guy. Apparently this guy was coming to downtown Oklahoma City, he was having a conference at this hotel, and she writes it all down, comes home to me, tells me about it, and I'm like, well, obviously we should go. That's really weird. That's some type of sign. We had no idea the content of what he was going to be talking about. So me, my boyfriend at the time, and Mitch, one of the guys that showed up that night, who was our friend, and my sister all go. And we show up, and there was a man there named Michael Rood. And he introduced us to Messianic Judaism. We had never heard of it. It was in like 2.5 hours. He answered so many questions we had had throughout our life about religion, about Christianity, things that didn't make sense. And he explained the Gregorian calendar. He explained the holy days, how Constantine, 400 years after Yeshua was born, created Catholicism, Universalism, and he merged paganism with the Jewish holy days in order to bring, for him it was all about political gain and money and taxes, and he could care less what you believed, so the issues that he was having when he was going to different lands was the different faiths, so he decided to merge them all into one. And so we had a lot of just eye-opening experiences that night. Later on, the boyfriend I had ended up being the father of my child. I was pregnant at the time, didn't know it. And our friend Mitch ended up marrying my sister. We all converted to Messianic Judaism, however my ex didn't. He ended up in and out of prison, and still to this day is in prison. But every person that showed up that night of that, the winter solstice full moon, all converted to Messianic Judaism through this experience that we had. So it took me many years to get it down. I wasn't raised religious, really. We were raised like your average American Christian family. We didn't go to church. We were, we believed in God, but it wasn't. My mother was a hippie and my father was a musician. It was like Ozzy, so that's the type of lifestyle I had. He was like in metal bands and stuff when I was a kid. And so I had a lot of life-changing experiences. I'd actually gotten saved that November before that full moon in my kitchen with my friend Jesse that became Messianic. I was having some spiritual issues, and I had been saved before at church when I was a kid, but it wasn't, my heart wasn't in it like it was at that time. So anyway, throughout the years I've gotten, I've learned a lot, studied a lot, and I've had a lot of interesting experiences, a lot of paranormal experiences, which I'm going to touch on in other videos. Now fast forward from that to this past July, I had a very, very weird experience. It was 3 in the morning, it was the middle of July, and I'm constantly thinking, I'm a truth seeker, so I'm constantly trying to figure things out. I'll think on certain things. It may take me years to figure one thing out, but I'll figure it out. So I'm laying there in bed, and end of days thoughts were popping through my head. And I tried to sleep, I couldn't. So my husband, he was passed out, I couldn't wake him up. And so I got up and went to my daughter's room to see if she was awake. She was passed out. However, her boyfriend, who him and I are very similar, he was awake. And what was interesting, he was thinking similar thoughts. He was thinking of end of days thoughts too. And so I wanted to go outside just to see, is it a full moon? Is that why I'm feeling all this pressure? We went outside and it wasn't a full moon. It was actually the first sliver of the new moon. And so him and I sat out there and we're talking back and forth about what was bothering us. And we were talking about the RFID chip being the mark of the beast, and trying to figure out exactly how it would work. I mean, a lot of people, their theory is that it's the mark of the beast is the RFID chip. It makes sense. You've got all these cards that have been switched over recently, back in 2018, that have the chip in them. Like people's credit cards and debit cards. And they're setting it up at the registers to where you could take your phone and pay with it, and then soon enough transition it to your hand. Well, I've seen a lot of propaganda too, like news stories, and even preachers coming on the news saying, "Oh, in no way is the chip the mark of the beast." It's da 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 da. Even though we all know it's something that you without it you can't buy, you can't sell, and it's based on a money system. So anyway, we were trying to figure out how it would work, and we came to the conclusion through these thoughts that these imposing thoughts we were both experiencing, that our theory is they're going to create, I'm speaking of the Luciferian elite, the Canaanite, Sodomite, Luciferian elite, who are all also Rh negative. However, my theory is that we Rh negatives out here that are the scattered are of Jacob, and those that are in power are of Esau, and that we battled them during this time, and it's an intellectual and spiritual battle. I've noticed that a lot of Rh negatives, we have a level of discernment that most don't, and we see through the traps and snares that they try to set up for us. It's just something that we all have in common. Anyway, back to the mark of the beast. I believe what they're going to do, they're going to use HARP, CERN, the 5G beast cell towers, and chemtrails. And they're going to mimic the Earth's ley lines within the atmosphere. The chemtrails have dried human blood cells in them. And if you know anything about the universal laws, the universal law of blood over intent, I believe that's one of the reasons that they have the dried blood cells. I believe that's why the blood has to be donated. That's why they don't pay you for your blood. You have to freely and willingly give it to them. I believe that, and it's also for the purposes of spreading disease, like chemtrail flu. We all get sick. I always get sinus headaches and allergy problems after I notice, they spray, and it's become almost a daily thing over the last decade. Whereas when I was a child, I didn't see chemtrails. It was a rare thing. But anyway, I believe what they're going to do, they're going to mimic the Earth's ley lines, which are the Earth chakra points, the energetic gates that are spoken of in the Bible. And the moment a person dies, I've actually died twice and came back. I'm going to touch on that in another video. The moment a person dies, DMT floods the brain. And DMT, it creates a trans-dimensional vehicle for the soul. We're frequency. We speak, everything is frequency. I believe the people that have the chip, now something that I do know, the creator of the chip, in the documentary I watched that he created, he said that the chip has to be put in the right hand of the forehead, It's powered off the host's orgone energy, or their soul, and it's your soul. And that once in the host, it permanently changes their DNA, even if they later try to remove it. If there's a permanent change that happens to you. I believe, and also from what I was touching on with the DMT flooding the brain when you die, I believe that those that have the chip at the moment of death, this 5G beast system that they're creating, this energetic prison matrix, the chip, a conduit to it, will emit a frequency of 666 hertz that will trap you and prevent you from ascending to the correct frequency, or the intended frequency of 777 hertz, which would either lead you to Abraham's bosom, possibly, or heaven. I don't know if this is 100% for sure. This is just what was revealed to us that night. Later on, I decided to check into those frequencies, and I typed in 666 hertz, and sure enough, there was a binaural beat video on it called the Baphomet frequency, and I played it. It was a very hectic frequency. It was very annoying. And also, what was interesting, right below it, in this video, you got like a demon, on it, and it's evil. And then right below it is one, and it's got like this angelic-looking scene of like clouds and rainbows and doves, saying it was a healing binaural beat. So it was very interesting that it was like deceptive, and even the music, was all soft and everything. You still got that odd feeling. But I believe that where we are this is a dimension that heaven could be attuned to 777 hertz, possible. But yeah, this is something that I experienced this past July, and I felt a switch inside, and my knowledge just started increasing severely over a couple of week period. And there were little pieces of things that I thought I knew everything thoroughly about that were revealed to me. Just little missing links of things that I studied. So everybody has that their relationship with God is different. A lot of people, when I was a kid, I used to be accused of being a Satanist and a witch. A lot of people would look at me and probably think that I'm not the most spiritual person, but I am. Like, I really value my relationship with God, and I believe that the pineal gland is the mercy seat of Yeshua. We're supposed to keep our mind's eye filled with light and love. And it's very obvious to me that you've got all these, black cubes of Saturn, of Satan, TVs. Everybody's paying attention to them. They're filling their mind's eye with the false light, with the AI light. So, I don't know if I'm right. It's just something I felt like I wanted to share with you all. And if you guys have any, similar experiences that you've had, please share below. My main purpose of starting this channel is to meet other rhesus negatives and to share our experiences. We all are, being RH negative is hard enough as it is. We feel different. We're outcasts. People don't understand us, and I think it's important right now that we come together and we share the knowledge that we have. So, thank you so much for listening. Please like and subscribe. Have a good night.